Hey there, Ddraig back with a look at GCCM Mod, or Grand Campaign Custom Maps. This is going to be a first of a series of videos about this excellent mod. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, playing Total War Warhammer, one of the issues you can get with the game is the lack of variation in the siege battles. Well, GCCM is here to help. To run the mod, you need obviously the main mod and the assets mod for it to run. The main mod has a selection of maps created by the community, and I will provide a list of the names here on screen. All of these have been involved in a project, either designing, art, or just helping the project in various ways. These talented people have crafted these maps using the editor called Terry, which CA provide, with all the Total War Warhammer games. Each one has been tested to get as many errors, glitches and AI bugs as they can, but they are constantly listening to feedback and about any issues you may find. If you do spot error, I'll put on screen the information that you may need. Then you can go and visit their Discord to report the problem. I'll provide a link to the Discord in a highlighted comment. The more information the better, and if you can go as far as to create a video, this will be a long way to helping the team iron out those bugs. Personally, I think it is very good against AI, but if you're playing a versus campaign, this mod is a must, as the fights can be pretty epic when playing against human players. The main goal is to have a unique custom map for all settlements, and of course this is a huge project. I wish them all the success in this endeavour. I may return to the mod after I've done all this particular series, and have an update when more maps have been added. If you are keen on helping them test, there is also a GCCM Beta version. Here they are putting in all the maps they are working on, and if you want to help, I'm sure they'll be very grateful. In the meantime, let us start with all the GCCM maps as of the 21st of 2nd, 2020 in the Yam Battle section. As a slight nod to the excellent work before CA changed the map, you can fight at sea and actually do a sort of iron battle. GCCM had already made this mod before the CA released it, so some of the following maps are added to the list, so it is a random chance either you will get a CA created map or one of these custom maps when you fight an iron battle. On the screen there will be a small map which is an overview of the actual map itself. For reference, yellow square is the attacking army deployment and red is the defensive part. So without further ado, let's get on and have a look at these Yand battle maps. The first map is the Bretonian Island map. An interesting island encounter where you start off either side of the island. A large hill dominates the centre, allowing some nice Rhino-type rocks, and a fair amount of forest to set up ambushes in, allowing you to do some sneaky ambushes with Vanguard units, as you can easily make your way around the back of the island without being seen, and of course this is where the Vanguard units will shine. Based in the Isabel area, this deceptively sneaky map makes use of the aqua mechanic, as it has large swamps to navigate with 3 distinct channels down the centre, allowing a distinct advantage and flexibility to any unit who has this ability. With these only 3 narrow channels for the average Yand unit, you may have the force units through the slow swamp, slowing them down and allowing easy pickings for artillery and missile units. It's a great map for any Isabel army of Vampire Coast, and has lots of opportunities to create kill zones for the missile units with these slow moving swamps. A Tomb King Island battle now, which is limited Yand, so this really cuts down your options to where to fight. With a large area in the middle, but it does have a line of sight blocker with that big pyramid, which can get in the way of any missile line firing. The map does offer channels to move around the enemy, or of course them to move around to you. This means you have to commit a unit or two to protect these channels, and with a beautiful forest area, this is a difficult map to plan a strategy. Has numerous options, especially when it comes to defending. When attacking, a 3-pronged attack would be an ideal path. Fast cavalry down each flank, and then timer joint attack in the centre. A flying unit on all these iron maps is a vital part. a stunning map with an epic backdrop. This is one of 3 different type of maps, and it also has the actual siege map coming up in the siege battles video. This first one, at first glance, looks like a great defensive position in front of the walls, but you can vanguard troops by these walls behind the enemy, where the F rank has a large ache to block most units and have to go a long way around. You can get some sneaky vanguards behind your line straight up from the off. With the forest on the other side, you can get really close to the enemy without being spotted or attacked from its artillery. It is a pretty hard place to defend in my opinion, and maybe attack is the best form of defence, so you can push out and get into the tree cover yourself before the enemy is on you. As mentioned, there is another map which is a siege, and this one is just in front of that particular siege on the outskirts of the wall. This being a much straightforward map with a much better defensive position. You can still get to either side of the army with the vanguard units, but cannot get behind due to the castle walls. So sneaky surprise this time from the rear cannot happen. And there's also yes cover for the attackers, so you can provide lots of good lines of fire for the artillery, making this map an excellent defensive position. Just got to watch out for those flanks, and they allow you to do a bit of a turtle build in front of the walls. So as long as you got not outgunned by an artillery department, you are pretty safe in this area and allow the enemy to come to you, hopefully into that kill zone you've created. This spectacular map has a lot of tactical possibilities, with a huge line of sight blockers in the middle of the map, and a small canyon to get through to provide you with tactical options, with a more cramped right side providing more line of sight blockers as well, making it difficult to get any use out of artillery. This makes it a great cavalry map, and if you do have these units, gives you a lot of flexibility and where to go, as well as a lot of land to cover. Apart from the mountains in the middle and the ship to the right, this is the only cover on this map, so you can get caught out by missile units if they're in the right place at the right time. I would be tempted to commit to a flank and set up a defence on that side, and use a couple of units to block any other path, as getting the artillery in the right place is a struggle, but at least gives you plenty of options when you see them to counter their firepower. The middle valley gives you some tactical options. You can either block it up with infantry or monsters, or you can use it to take some fast moving units through the gap and around to the enemy's flank. This map is as interesting as it is spectacular. This looks like a nice place to visit, but unfortunately we have no time to get a spectacular vista. There is a battle to fight. A narrow map, but does have one channel where a unit or two can sneak around. Well, when I say sneak, it's very open and very exposed, so I would not recommend it personally. The main part of the island has a nice bit of cover along the top of the trees, but it's so narrow only a unit or two could benefit from this. As a defensive force, this is quite the ideal location, with buildings to provide some nice protection down the F rank. This allows you to block these up with simple defensive units. The attack has its work cut out, and artillery is a must, as the flanking opportunities is very limited, and especially is how many units can be moved through the centre mass, as they can be quite easily exposed and can be easily picked off by the defence. As you can see, there's an interesting overview to say the least, with 2 distinct deployment options and a highly defensive position. With only a few routes into the centre defences, this is a dream scenario for many a defensive general. Simple paths to block up with infantry, add the missile units behind these, and maybe some devastating magic users, and you can really hold this down well. While the enemy can make use of these 2 deployment zones, with attack on all fronts being a must strategy. Ideally at the same time. On the attack, this can be a very tough nut to crack, and on the defence, as long as you've got numbers on your side, you can hold the area against the enemy, and of course it will take severe losses to even get close to you. So use that terrain to your advantage and deploy missile units well to make use of it. This is one of the most open maps we will look at today, with a lot of land to give you a lot of options. Another beautiful map with some great cliffs to the right, which provide 3 tiers of combat, with the highest point to the right and all the way down to the siege to the left. As a defence, you can take the high ground and you can lock down the top tip right corner of the map, but beware of that strong rear charge, which could be deadly if you don't commit enough forces to stop it. With so much area to swing your forces around, there's quite a lot to think about for the attackers. And this of course depends on where the defence is deployed. One thing you can be sure about though, is that high ground could be the deciding factor. This is a tricky map to plan for defence and attack. With so much forest on the map providing cover, you'd be hard pushed to win this fight by missile units. It may be down to the good old sword and board fight, and you have to drag yourself through a swamp to get to the enemy. The only open space is in the centre, but this is where the swamp is, so it's tricky for units to move in. With no real clear way to attack, this would be a bloody affair, and the defence will also struggle as the map doesn't really end any good defensive position. You can maybe set up around the corner of one of the temples, but with so much forest on the map, you'll be negating your own missile units, so you're going to have to be careful. Of course, with cavalry, then they're going to struggle as well, with all these trees around and the swamp in the middle. So this fight, more than likely, is going to be to win the trenches by your ground infantry. This map is particularly well laid out for defence, as you start in the trees and the attackers have to charge through the swamp, going from island to island to find firm ground. A slow attack and the artillery will struggle to affect any units in those dense trees. So splitting the army into a couple or maybe 3 groups and attack the iron of a defence at once, hoping to make a dent in one part. And yes, of course, you can spot a weak spot on the way in. Defence wise, you can get your missile units to take pot shots in the clear ground between you and the attackers. If you have the artillery set up in the spare spots around the front line, just outside the tree line, this is an ideal place for cannon and the other artillery units. Make sure you got the units ready to support when the attack comes, because dropping artillery back is a slow manoeuvre. From here it's just a case of causing as much damage as the enemy comes in, and then pray you've weakened them enough so your iron will hold. This particular map comes in 3 different flavours: Forest, Northern and Southern Island, but the actual map layout itself is the same in each. A large cliff provides a separate path for you to attack the enemy, but I dare to think what horrible damage an artillery unit can do down this path, especially when your units are bunched up. Use at your own risk and hope the enemy don't defend it too well, because they really should. It's a pretty map the other side of this mountain, with a large centre to yard some troop manoeuvres, but not much cover in the centre or right hand side for the enemy to bunker down in. A strong charge down the middle could win the day, but this has its risks as the opposition will target this area to stop this charge. Another viable tactic is to use the left-hand channel Yater and send a fast moving cavalry through this particular gap. Then hope your enemy forgets and is distracted with your main force, and then you can swing these fast units around and hit them in the side. This is a horrible place to defend, I would say. Heavily forested, exactly where you don't want it to be. Your entire right flank is covered in trees, allowing the enemy to get on you. A fast vanguard unit in defence would be an excellent idea here, so you can get at least a small inkling they are coming this way. The other side is a bit more open, but the enemy will likely push through the heavily forested area and then attack from there, and maybe a large cavalry force whose eyes will light up at the space on the other side. Attacking wise, place an artillery unit on your right flank, which provides clear line of fire, and then just charge for the centre and use overwhelming forces to push the enemy so far back they have nowhere to go. If you are defending this area, I hope Sigmar is with you. The next 2 maps are pretty similar, except for the tidal Elven Island is a bit smaller. They both have a large mountain to the left which you cannot go around, so you're stuck with the open ground to the right. This helps the defence a lot, as they are dug in here with artillery. This is going to be a very unpleasant day for the attackers. Thin your ranks as much as possible, and maybe cover a large front line to negate some of that damage, and then charge in and around as much as you can. And yet, because the enemy can turtle up in one corner, or they can stretch the line quite thin. Either way, it's going to be a hard time for the enemy to attack. A very rare small map now, which allows the fighting to start immediately. The attackers have only a short distance to get to the enemy, but it is pretty open and quite sufficient yosses, and yes, you move quick. As the map is so small, the defence is pretty much immediate artillery range, so get moving fast to close the distance and rush the opposition. Defensively, you have some nice cover from the off, and can set up the artillery on the right flank in a nice open space with strong firing lines. With some trees around you to hide some backup units in, for if they try to take out these artillery units. It is a fast and furious map with not much time to think, so a split second timer will be needed, or liberal use of the pause button. And here we are at the Arse 1. This is the ultimate line of sight up blocker, and one of the coolest ones you will likely to see. Unless you've got a vanguard unit, you're going to struggle to see the complete army. If you do, try to get one on each side of your flank, so you can see the entire army and see which way they're going to come. Then I would commit to that one side for an attack. The left is bigger area, and has a couple more obstacles in the way. And you can also send some fast cav down the right flank. The right flank is a lot narrower, and there's a couple of line of sight blockers as well. So if you think you have a large army, I would suggest using the left for your attack. It is a very straightforward map, but does look pretty epic, and provides some really good shots as a backdrop to a fight. Thanks for watching, and look out for the next episode in the GCCM series, hopefully in the coming weeks, and I hope to see you there.